as the liberal class is trying to pretend that Israel is committing genocide and mass genocidal psychosis is sweeping the West only because of Benjamin Netanyahu, I'm here to bring people back to reality. That is the entire country of Israel that is filled with genocidal fascist scum. And I am not afraid to say it. The same way people are not afraid to say that about Nazis. So as the international community, even the most hardcore Zionists in the world, including Joe Biden, many people in the UK, in the Tory party, even in the Labour Party as well, who've been cheering on mass executions and slaughter of civilians in Gaza, even they was like, hey, man, come on, man, we can't go that far in Rafah. We support a little bit of genocide, but you can't go to Rafah. And then Israel was like, no, fuck you. We're going to Rafah right now because if Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't, and this is what a lot of people in the West missed on purpose, if Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't wage this war, if he hasn't committed the war crimes that he has, if he doesn't go in Rafah, the Israeli populace will have this motherfucker hung by a tree. Benjamin Netanyahu is handling the war the way he's handling because he's trying to get support from the population of Israel who wants to see a genocide in Gaza. So the liberals who try to deflect and pretend that Netanyahu is the only problem in Israel, they are purposely getting it wrong. And isn't it interesting, another thought? The same liberals, the same people like Bernie Sanders, the same Democrats, I won't even go far as Bernie Sanders because there was even corporate Democrat scum calling out Netanyahu. Chuck Schumer, for example. Those same liberals calling out Benjamin Netanyahu and saying that Netanyahu is everything wrong with Israel, they are the same people who are freaking out at the prospect of the ICC issuing an arrest warrant on Netanyahu. Yeah, Joe Biden's against it. Democrats and liberals are against it. MSNBC is against it, despite the fact that they pretend to hate Netanyahu. You guys see the game they're playing? If you guys hate Netanyahu so much, wouldn't you welcome the ICC putting an arrest warrant on Netanyahu? You guys see how they don't really oppose Netanyahu and what Israel's doing? They're just trying to play liberals for the dumb rubes that they are. Now, the video you guys saw was I didn't have it played because obviously we can't understand. At least I can't. You have Israeli soldiers chanting, God help us destroy Rafah. And you also have the Israeli populace on the eve of the invasion of Rafah dancing and celebrating like they were at a black barbecue. Like they had a barbecue in Kansas City. Like they having a blast here.
כביש מספר 1 כל המשאיות לעזה חוסמים אותם
They're not cheering for the prosperity of humanity. They're celebrating for an upcoming genocide on a refugee camp. And people are still afraid to call these people the scum that they are. They are cheering the upcoming execution of 600 to 700,000 women and children. A complete massacre of every man in the population. You guys know there have been so many mothers, so many women caretakers who were murdered over the last, 8 months or so? That now that you have a large amount of Palestinian families that are single dad households. They have a single male guardian. Maybe an uncle took these people in because that's the reality of the genocide. Entire families were wiped out. Maybe one person left. Maybe a few children be left. They will lose their mother. So now you understand there are a lot of families that are holding on by a thread by a single male guardianship. And now Israel is planning to wipe out all those males, leaving countless orphans, my friends. This is what Israelis are cheering for, my friends. Here, let me play some audio. He dancing up hard and shit.
כל המשאיות לעזה, זהו, נגמר.
אבינו שבשמיים
Outright subhuman garbage. Now do you guys see why? And I refuse to set the talking point that it's all on Netanyahu. We are dealing with a genocidal fascist population. This is from my speech in KU. I mean, I can't wait till my next speaking engagement. But this is the point that I really want to nail home. I'll constantly nail home, especially if I'm outside my audience. Because as they tell people that Hamas are terrorists, who I commend, I refuse to condemn Hamas, because I commend anyone who will fight these terrorist scum. I see the greatest evil on the face of the planet, and then there are an organization that is fighting them based on their right to, as a colonized people, to fight against their oppressors. We're talking about Hamas here. Hamas is fighting against their Zionist Nazi oppressors, and I'm supposed to be against that? Motherfucker, I am rooting for them. Actually, I gotta be careful because I'm on YouTube. I'll be careful. Maybe I need to jump on Rumble. I only tell you guys how I really feel about this shit. Nick, do you condemn Hamas? In fact, I want these motherfuckers to Rumble only. And the reason why, because Israel and the West are unapologetically promoting terrorist ideology, as I explained here in this video. International law. Collective punishment is a war crime. So when you hear Israeli officials, even we covered Lindsey Graham, we covered many people in Congress that said we need to dispel the notion that there's an innocent Palestinian. I want you guys to understand that when someone does that, they are advocating for terrorist ideology. And at this point, it's probably when I got like the best verbal response. When I was playing, like, bro, it's not Hamas that terrorists, it's the West and Israel. So anyway, I shut the fuck up. I let myself make the point. We need to dispel the notion that there's an innocent Palestinian. I want you guys to understand that when someone does that, they are advocating for terrorist ideology. And I know that you probably had a lot to say, so I'm gonna pass to here soon. But do you guys understand? I'm gonna put it like this: how will you guys define a terrorist? I've been begging people to use the words the way they're meant to be used. A terrorist is someone who believes that they should be able to have the right to take out the enemy without regards to international law. A terrorist is someone who believes they have the right to take out their enemy and there are no red lines. Now, I'm gonna ask you guys, have CNN, MSNBC, or anyone else ever defined what a terrorist is? So according to Israeli logic, because of October 7th, they have the right to bomb hospitals, they have the right to bomb schools, they have the right to put military-aged men in concentration camps where they are now suffering right now, all because they suffer October 7th. This alone is a war crime. Using starvation as a tool of war is a war crime. The Biden administration had a statement where they said that Israel is now considering letting aid into Gaza. And I don't know if the geniuses in the Biden administration understood that that was a sentence of guilt. Because if they're allowing aid to go into Gaza, that means they was blocking it, which is using starvation as a tool of war. So as I explained here, the West, including the entirety of the liberal class who support Biden's foreign policy on this, are outright advocating for terrorist ideology. And that's me actually putting it lightly, because I'll put it Nazi ideology. So anything you want to add? I'm going through this. I'm just trying to get to the Putin story. I got a lot of stuff to cover. I'm sorry, Zoya. Is there anything you want to add, or you can pass it back to me? Anything you want to add before I move on? We almost done. I promise you, we almost done with this segment.
I definitely want to get to the next segment. So I'll just say, I've seen this level of dehumanization, unfortunately, for decades across all sort of global conflicts, and it's so dangerous. I mean, the videos you were showing, it's like a cult. These people have been indoctrinated and literally dehumanize their perceived enemy to the point where they no longer are impacted by children dying, by babies dying. And it's so heartbreaking. And it's really tragic. We're really saturated with war footage like never before. I've been covering all of this stuff for decades, and I've even had to take breaks from the carnage that we're witnessing.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to make the point that Hamas did endorse a ceasefire deal that was supported by Egypt and other guarantors. So there was actually a ceasefire deal on the table that offered exchange of hostages, and the only thing they would have to do is keep Rafah safe. And it's a really good move on Hamas's part, because it shows their willingness to actually end the conflict and have reasonable demands, while Israel is not sitting down at the table to negotiate.
Yeah, and then CNN is having a very hard time explaining this as well. Because this is the breaking story today. Or I'll say over the last 24 hours or so, where Hamas accepted this ceasefire deal, and now this is the same deal that Israel agreed to at the beginning of April, and now the Biden administration and Israel completely caught off guard by this, because they've been outmaneuvered by Hamas every step of the way. Israel is losing the war against Hamas, committing mass atrocities, unlike what the West thinks, does not win a war. If Israel is losing this war, they're losing this conflict. Hamas has outmatched them every step of the way. And now look at the cope you see it on CNN because of this.
Hamas agreeing to something, maybe something proposed by Egypt and Qatar, although I'm not sure about that. And then Israel saying, wait a second, this is not the document that we've all been working with and the mediators in Cairo. So what exactly is going on?
We don't know.
Okay.
So we can speculate, right? And we're going to find out more in the next coming days. I mean, I think it's really good as part of that Gantz statement is that they're going to send some mediators to go to Egypt and engage with the negotiators to see kind of what is going on here. But what I suspect is going on is a little bit of several things. I mean, I think that Hamas is definitely seeing an opportunity here to turn themselves from being the bad guys for rejecting the proposal into the good guys for accepting the proposal, and it's Israel that's not, and putting Israel in a position where they really do need to move forward with.
This is the complex political analysis you're getting on CNN. They're saying the reason why Hamas agreed with the ceasefire is because they want to appear to look like the good guys. And they want Israel to look bad because Israel said they support ceasefire, but they are going against this one. It's all a chess move by Hamas to make us look bad. Hey, my friends, not that hard. It's not that hard to make you look bad.